Hi, CMattDye here. Thanks for stopping by and checking out today's video. Today I want to do technical analysis on the crypto markets, talk about what's going on, what we have done, and what I'm looking at going forward. So this is the overall crypto market cap, the total market cap. I like to start videos with this. I know this chart looks very similar to Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin makes up the dominant pattern. Everything revolves around Bitcoin. And that's just how it is right now. In the future, it will decouple, but right now, it is what it is. This chart looks just like Bitcoin. I believe this pattern right here is done. And now something else is happening down here. What is that? Well, what I'm thinking, this move down here is finding some support. It's going to get a push up into this vicinity here. And then from there, it's going to lure everyone into a false sense of security. Everyone's going to be long, and then it's going to drop back down again. And then from there, it gets ready to start the next bull market. That's kind of what I'm thinking, and that's what I'm looking for. So do I think this is going over $1 trillion? Yes. Do I think $1 trillion matters? Only to humans. It really is very inconsequential. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Let's jump over to Bitcoin. I can do a little bit more analysis. And if I blow this chart up, you can see it pretty much looks the same, except this has letters, numbers, lines on the chart. So I think this move up is done. So there's no reason to really look at it. And now this move down is happening. There's a couple different ways to look at this move down. It really doesn't matter. What matters most is what I'm thinking. Well, I mean, not that I'm super smart. I'm not trying to say that. But what you're thinking, what I'm thinking, what we're looking at, that's what matters most. And what I'm thinking right now, this is on a daily chart. Let me make this a little bit bigger and easier to look at. So this is what I'm looking at right now. This move up was a completion of one move. It came down and then it started to rocket higher. And now, you know, this ended this move here. And to complete an upside pattern, you'd have to have a 1, 2, 3, a 4, and a 5. And that would complete an upside impulsive pattern. Can it do something else? Of course it can. So what I'm looking at right now, for price to come up here, find some rejection somewhere up here. So between that 23,400 to 22,700, somewhere between there, I'm looking for a rejection. So I think it's going to come up, find that rejection, and then come back down and probably into this support region, which is 20,617 to 21,312. Yeah, there's some sense there. I don't really care. I'm going to round up, round down, whatever. But that's what I'm looking for in that range. So if it comes up, finds that rejection, drops down, I can jump down to an hourly chart really quickly. And once I zoom out, I can talk about a few things. So I think I may have zoomed out a little too much. All right. So this is where we're at. I think this was the end of 3. And now we're getting, this move down here, this move up, followed by all of this move here. And that is a possible end to this pattern. However, the move up is very lethargic, very ugly, and it coincides with what I'm thinking. Is that price comes up here, finds some rejection, then comes back down and sets up in a very, very nice trade. So that's what I am looking for. You know, I've seen a couple different people count this down here. I tend not to look at other people doing their counts because the majority of the time they're just wrong. You know, you can't look at anything in a vacuum. I've said that many times before. And the reason is nothing happens in a vacuum. You know, if I'm riding my bike and fall, that's not in a vacuum. It happened because of something. I took my focus off. Maybe somebody hit me with a rock and I just fell off the bike. So many different things can happen. Well, in trading, the market's going to react to different variables differently each time they happen. There's not going to be the exact same move from the exact same thing in the exact order all the time. That's just not going to happen. So I don't look at Elliott wave in a vacuum. I look at all kinds of other things in combination with Elliott wave. I don't look at indicators because they are the majority a derivative of price. And if I can look at price and gauge what's happening, there's no reason to look at that because they're lagging. So that's kind of my style. So I see this coming up. It looks very ugly, and I'm just waiting for it to find that resistance and then pop down. I probably will try to short it, once it does find where it's going. And then I'll look to get long once it does drop. I throw all my trades in the Discord, and that's a lot of fun for me. So that's what I'm looking at with Bitcoin. Right now, price is kind of just there, so I'm waiting for it to really do something. And then after that, I'll get interested. Now the other scenario, so this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what I'm looking at. That's what I'm really looking forward to right now. The other thing that can happen is that it can reject, and that most likely would be south of 22,600. I'm going to call it south of 22,600. You find this rejection, and then it'll just drop down again. That could be the start of something lower. I don't want to see price get below 18,600. Ideally want to see price stay above that, but I want to see it maintain some levels and hold it a little bit. Right now it's good, it's pushing higher, but it's doing so in a lethargic way. So really just kind of waiting to see how that is going to transpire, and then the next day or so we should have an answer. So that's what I'm looking for with Bitcoin. Jumping over to Ethereum. Ethereum's doing pretty much the same thing, but slightly differently. You can see that it's weaker than Bitcoin. And that's why I have this label here as a ABC. Because right now, if price, let me zoom out on this a little bit while I'm talking, because that kind of would make more sense. So if price can get below that 1356 is what I meant to say. If it can get below 1356 without making a new high, then something else is playing out. But I still think support would be down here, even though something else would be playing out. Now, the other thing that can be playing out is if this does move higher, then it'll give us a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. But once it gets to 18 to 19,000, it could be the end of this overall pattern. This overall pattern could be ending. So that's one thing I'm keeping an eye on, is that potential. So if this shoots up, that should also shoot Bitcoin up to a new high as well, which would complete the Bitcoin pattern, which I would expect Bitcoin to be able to come down and find another move up. And Ethereum, if Ethereum does make that new high, that could be the end of this overall pattern. So what would I look at for Ethereum? Well, Ethereum is going to have to end up having a corrective move lower, which obviously Bitcoin would need that as well. But if it's a corrective move lower, then it can come down and it can flirt with this area, find some support. So it'll end up being up here somewhere. And then it comes down in a corrective manner. And then it can find this area down here, anywhere from 1450 to 1350, anywhere in there. It can find that support, which would coincide with Bitcoin giving us, after this move up, would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it would come down at a 2, and that would be, shooting up. Most likely this would be a A, and then it would come down to a B, and then it would have a C up, and that would coincide with Ethereum. Kind of makes sense. So that's what I'm looking at for those two. Right now, Cardano is interesting. You can see if we zoom out here, or actually zoom out the other way. We made a trade over here. This was in early to mid January. Did pretty well in that one, and then just kind of been on the sidelines ever since. You can see it came down here, found some support, and now it's pushing up, and it's actually looking pretty good. It's looking better than other markets per se. But it didn't come down into that support. It stayed up. So I'm looking at it closely to see what it can really do here. I'm expecting it to have a little bit of a larger pullback. So maybe somewhere down here is kind of what I'm thinking. But really have to wait and see what is actually transpiring. That 39.65, 38.65, those are going to be the first levels of resistance here. So really just kind of watching that to see what it's going to do. I don't really have a trade set up at the moment for Cardano, but really just kind of watching to see what it's going to do. Next, Polygon. Polygon, I did look at earlier. It's very interesting. You can see this box is what I was looking at as support. As you know, if it came down in this box, definitely a good long. That never happened. So really just kind of watching Polygon here. And with this move up, I drew these lines over here. So this is going to be the first real resistance here. And if it does fail at this level, that would be very interesting. If it pushes above, then the area I want to see it push above is going to be a 170. I don't foresee that happening. So I'm thinking 170 to that 136 is going to be resistance with an emphasis on 136 and 150. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, is that being resistance. And if I jump down here to an hourly, it'll give me a little bit more clarification on the actual pattern playing out. So if we look at this, this is a nice move here. And this is fairly choppy. So can this be the end of this overall pattern? Yes, it can. However, this move up here kind of throws a wrench in it a little bit, because this isn't going to be the start of a major drop. I would be shocked. It could happen, but the probability is very, very low. So what would I expect? Maybe a complex correction. So maybe this turns into more of a complex correction. This could be the start of a move higher as well, this particular pattern right here. So if we scroll out, it actually does look pretty good. What would have to happen? Price would need to stay above 119, maybe chop around a little bit longer, a few more hours. This is an hourly chart, so maybe about 6 more hours, and then make a new high. And then that would probably entice me to want to be long. You know, I'm really going to watch this and see what happens, but this is kind of interesting right now. So Polygon, definitely looking kind of interesting. Really just waiting to see what's going to play out with it. And I don't think it's going to be something, long term to hold on to, but it should be a nice little trade. So next is Solana. And Solana is the cryptocurrency that I love to hate. Let's see. So this is a daily chart, and let's look at it on a larger view. So this move down, very interesting, and this could, even though this was very short on time, this pattern just looks super ugly. So let's see. Let me look at these two here. Some of these I do analysis on prior, and some of these I don't. Just to make it more fun for me to do the video. Hopefully it makes it more fun for you watching. If so, let me know. Because that's the only way I will know. So this high was at 38.78. This high was at 38.95. Interesting. I don't think it really matters either way, actually. So I'll just look at this pattern. Let me scroll out and check that out. So, all right, so I'm going to watch that 2251 very, very closely here. And price has already gotten pretty darn close to it. So, you know, I kind of expect price to come up a little bit more, probably maybe around that 24.20. We get some resistance and we can see price come back down again. That is a possibility. And then we can look for support somewhere around 15 to 1750. That could be a thing. If it does reject here and just drop down, I would think that it would find support, push up, and then maybe one more move down. That could be a thing as well. But right now, it's not looking the best at the moment. Let me jump down to an hourly really, really quickly, just because a couple different things could be playing out here. All right, that's where we are. All right, here we are. Okay. Okay, and this would be the end of that pattern. So on the daily chart, this could be a pattern. So now with this movement here, I would like to see ideally price come above this 2264 and then getting that rejection like I was talking about, 24.20, somewhere in there, then coming back down. And that could actually find some supportive action, could find some support, and then push up from there. So that's what I would look out for Solana. I'm not looking to make a trade on Solana, but that's what I'm seeing. Next, let's go to Binance. And Binance is, I do enjoy Binance, trading it per se. So this move here and this move here was a pattern in itself. So these two legs, this one here and this one here, were, you know, completing a pattern. And I've talked about that before. And now over here, we're looking to see what is actually happening. So this move here and this leg here could be two in the same pattern. So this is a pattern, this is a pattern. Now what's happening over here is really the next question. And it looks like a bunch of ugliness. So let's see. That's interesting. Let me jump down here to the hourly. Binance is something I haven't looked at in a little while, so it makes it interesting, I think. That way I don't have like all these specific things that I'm looking at that I already have drawn and everything. So I'm looking at this move here, to this move, to this move here, to this, which is definitely super interesting, to this move, This move down. And then this one. And then that. So yeah, this could be an entire move right here. Could be an entire move. Basically would be and then this one would be and go like that. Like that. So that's kind of how it would look. I'd have a 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 3 4 5. That's the way I would draw that out. That's the way I would look at it. And then over here is just a bunch of gobbledygook, really. So that would turn into an A, a B, and a C. Because this is obviously 3 waves into an A, 3 waves into a B, and then 1 2 3 4 5 into a C. And you can see that this didn't really take that much time. Neither did this 4. This 4, you have a little bit of alternation, so that's pretty good. This move up is ugly. It could not get any uglier. So what am I looking for overall with it? It's a good question. I'm looking at something like that. And might as well change this color to maybe a green, because everybody hates green. So this is kind of what I'm looking at for Binance. This move has completed. Looking for more of a complex correction here, just because this move is very ugly. It would coincide with everything else. So that is what I'm watching. I know I usually don't do these ad lib, but hopefully that was good if anybody enjoyed that. So jumping to XRP now. XRP is about as ugly as it could get. It did drop below 30 cents here, barely. So its low was at 29.828 cents. So barely dropped below 30 cents. And it's trying to hold up. It's a very ugly price action. So I'm not looking to make a trade on XRP. It found some resistance up here, and it's selling off. I've said before, I think XRP is going to have a difficult time just because it's been in that lawsuit for so long. I'm surprised there hasn't been, announced a crypto that's taking its place. But it's interesting to see what it's doing right now. It's definitely finding a lot of resistance. It's also finding some support. This move here, if I'm looking at it strictly on this pattern, I could say, let me drop down to an hourly really quick and look at it. And let's see. And it's definitely ugly. That's one thing I can definitely say. What would I expect from this? I kind of expect the same thing I expect with Binance. I think it's going to come up, find some resistance, and then come down again. And then from there, it's probably going to be too low to really care about. As far as my strategy goes, placing a trade, I think there's better things out there to trade. So I don't really have anything on XRP except for If it can push up, find resistance, and push down again, somewhere between that 33.5 to 35 cent mark possibly can provide some support. But I think there's better things out there to trade, and that is what I'm going to be watching for. So anyway, that is what I'm looking at with these cryptos. If there's something else that you would like me to add, I'd have to take something away. So, let me know. If there's a crypto that you would like to see, maybe I can just do a special announcement and throw it on for a one-time deal next week. But that's what I'm looking at. I think it's going to be a very interesting rest of the week. It's going to give us some insight on a lot of these cryptos I just talked about and some other ones that I haven't spoken about. So it's going to be a fun week. So with that, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you around the crypto markets. Take care.